Hello, my name is Sheena Williams, and I am here today presenting to you about 3 different educational technology websites that you can use in your classroom. So, in this digital age, we want to always keep in mind the ways that students and educators can conduct and promote safety as well as learning while online. This is one of the reasons why it is very important to know and promote digital citizenship. So you might have heard that phrase before and wonder what it meant. Well, according to the International Society for Technology and Education, or the ISTE website, digital citizenship means being active citizens who see possibilities instead of problems and opportunities instead of risks as they curate a positive and effective digital footprint. What I like about the ISTE site is that it outlines standards for educators as well as students in terms of digital citizenship. So for educators, the standard 2.3 pertains to digital citizenship. And it says overall that educators will inspire students to positively contribute to and responsibly participate in the digital world. And we as educators can help students by creating positive experiences, evaluating resources for credibility, teaching safe, legal, ethical practices, and modeling digital privacy. In addition, our students have standards outlined too as digital citizens. So students should recognize the rights, responsibilities, and opportunities of living, learning, and working in an interconnected digital world. And they act and model digital citizenship in ways that are safe, legal, and ethical. And students can do this by managing their identity and reputation in a positive way and being aware of their digital footprint. They can also engage in positive, safe, legal, and ethical online behavior, understand and respect the intellectual property, as well as maintaining digital privacy and security. Through my research, I also wanted to find um, some criteria for looking for good technology sites to use within our classrooms. And so a couple of those points that I found was that number one, we want to try to make sure that they are accessible for learners with disabilities. Number two, that they protect student data, which directly aligns with the ISTE standards about digital privacy. Number three, having support for educators, because of course, as we are the ones to be proficient with the technology sites, we want to make sure that we're able to find the help or the professional development that we need when we come across any problems. And then lastly, I found one that says to promote active and collaborative learning so that students are engaged in meaningful learning and that they are active participants in the learning process. So the first site that I wanted to introduce is called Common Sense. It's called Common Sense Media, and the website is commonsense.org. So when I looked at the website at first, there was a lot going on. There were reviews, there were a list of applications and websites for educators, for parents. There was so much. And then I found this page that told me a little bit more about who they are. And so it says that they believe in media that inspires and entertains families of all kinds, and technology that protects privacy and supports communities, and learning tools that prepare students and teachers for success in a connected world, and discover how we're looking to make the digital world better for kids and families. So one of the most important things that I found on this site is that they have digital citizen literacy lessons already for students. And they have those lessons broken down into different age groups. And within the age groups, the lessons are broken down and they pretty much correlate to each of the different standards that were mentioned before. As I said before, there are also a variety of reviewed websites and applications for educators. So they have had people to go through and to test them. They let you know the percentage amount of privacy that site might have, and those that are not so safe to use, as well as if there are free versions or paid versions of each one. Also, for educators, there are blogs. There are a lot of articles that educators can use that relate to instruction, social emotional learning, professional learning, digital citizenship, educational technology, classroom management, and more. There are so many articles on the site. Lastly, another positive for the site is that there are reviews and blogs for parents. So just as they have reviewed websites for teachers and educators, for parents, they have movies, music, applications, blogs, all of these that have been reviewed to let parents know whether they're safe or not for their students to engage in. On the downside, there were a couple of cons that I found with the site. And number one was the lack of differentiation, or the lack of differentiation that's provided by the site when it comes to those lessons. So it's more so, as a teacher, you would have to take those lessons and modify them yourselves extensively to help meet the needs of your students. And then, as I stated before at the beginning, is that there is so much information on the site. For a person like me, I initially was very overwhelmed, and I wasn't sure what the purpose of the site was at first because it had so much information. And then I was able to explore more and figure out my needs and then to go from there. So the next site that I want to talk about is called Pear Deck. So Pear Deck might be considered similar to Nearpod in the fact that it is a site that you can use to modify your lesson slides. So Pear Deck can be used with PowerPoint as well as Google Slides. So one of the benefits or the pros of Pear Deck is that it has a newer feature which allows access to a library of pre-made content similar to Nearpod. So you have some content and some slides already made and already interactive that you can incorporate and just add into your own lesson. Next is at the teacher dashboard, where teachers and educators can see what the students are doing in real time, can be accessed from any electronic device. So I found this to be a really great benefit because if you are like me, you might not want to be stuck at your computer, at your desk, or at the beginning or at the front of the classroom. And instead, you like to walk around during the lesson. Well, with the teacher dashboard for Pear Deck, that's something that you can do because you can have the dashboard on your phone or on your iPad, and you're able to control going through the slides on the teacher dashboard. So I can literally click through the slides as I'm walking around the classroom, as well as give student feedback from my electronic device and select students' work or samples to be shown on the board. As stated before, educators can give immediate individual feedback right on the teacher dashboard as you are in the lesson, and you can just conduct informative assessments right then and there. As stated before, you can use this as an add-on to current presentations that you already have. And then, of course, the last benefit is the amount of data that you're able to acquire from this. So after the lessons, you're able to download that data into like a Google Sheet, and then you're able to go through and assess how students did and give them grades if you so choose. A couple of the negatives that I found with Pear Deck is that although the new library is nice, it doesn't have a wide variety of content yet, not nearly as extensive as Nearpod's library. You do have to pay for the premium version, so you might not have access to all of the features that you would want unless you or your district pays for that premium version. And sometimes it does take time to build the lesson. So you might already have your own lesson and then you can incorporate the add-on, but still just making sure that things are the way that you like them. It does take time in those modifications. And I just wanted to show an example of what the teacher dashboard could look like. Here is what the students would see on those screens. This one is highlighted because they're seeing this question. And this is what the teacher sees as those students are answering this question. And so you can tell that I can start a response as a good job or as something to highlight. And I can also give them feedback in real time in case they need to make changes to their responses. The arrows down here would allow me to change between the slides that are being projected onto the board. And then the lock screen even allows me to lock it so that no more students can answer the question if you so happen to have them on a timer. And then if that's what I see on the teacher dashboard, and this is what the students will see on the board once their answers are being projected. So names are not there, anything, none of the feedback, but we still can talk about what other students have said in their responses. So the last site that I wanted to highlight is Padlet. Padlet to me looks like an interactive bulletin board. It is visually appealing, which is one of the benefits that I put here for it. There's so many different ways that you can set up the Padlet to make it fun. It's very interactive and it allows for student collaboration and interaction because students can comment and like or leave an emoji to another person's post. The other point that I love about Padlet is that educators and students can post more than just words. They can post website links, pictures, videos, etc., so that it gives educators and students options. So everyone doesn't have to respond the same way. And this might help in the accessibility for those students of different needs. A couple of the cons for Padlet, I didn't find too many, but a big one was that the free version only allows up to 3 live Padlets at a time. So if you are a teacher like me, I teach high school and I have a total of 6 classes, 3 one day, 3 the other day, I could only have 3 that are live at one time. In order for me to use, a different Padlet with my classes on B day as opposed to A day, I would have to archive those 3 live ones, and then students aren't able to respond on those anymore. In order for me to use 3 different ones. And then it can be expensive just for one teacher to use for the year, mainly because it's about $70 for a year's subscription for that, unless you have, of course, your school or your district to purchase the premium version. So overall, Common Sense, Pear Deck, and Padlet are great educational technology websites that I have found that we could implement within our classrooms at any point to make them more interactive and engaging for students. And I just wanted to end with this example here of student work when they were adding to the Padlet about themes, and teachers could use this as a way to introduce a lesson by having students explore through websites and links as an opener for the lesson that they are about to teach and about to engage the students in. Lastly, here are a list of my references, and I thank you all for joining me today with this presentation, and I sincerely hope that you are interested in any of these sites as well as with digital citizenship, and that you will explore more and begin to utilize them in your classroom.